A few months ago, I decided to embark on a journey through the Age of Calamity soundtrack, examining how the game uses themes from Breath of the Wild and the Zelda franchise at large. There turned out to be a lot of examples. Really too many for one video, so the first video, which I released in May, talks about how Breath of the Wild's battle music is used in Age of Calamity. In that video, I discussed some of the differences in gameplay between the two games and how that changes the purpose of the music. I won't bother going through all of that again, so you can refer back to the video linked here if you need that refresher, or if you need to hear it for the first time. Today, I want to highlight the music of the Zora champion Mipha, aka Best Waifu, don't at me. Originally, this video was supposed to highlight all of the champions, but after grad school, I seem incapable of stating anything succinctly. Just kidding, mostly. Really what happened was I started diving into Mipha's theme and then figured I should also look at Sidon's theme, and then I was going to talk about both, but the script was approaching 10 pages single-spaced, and that's a long video. So, this video will just look at Mipha's theme, and the next one I do will look at Sidon's theme, and how the two themes function together in Age of Calamity. And eventually I will probably release separate videos on the rest of the champions. So, without further ado, let's look at Mipha's theme in Breath of the Wild. This has floated around the internet, but in case you haven't already heard it, Mipha's theme is based on her name. That is, the notes mi and fa in solfege, or E and F, assuming a fixed do system. I really wish I could credit where I first saw this, but it was some random video I found while scrolling Instagram, so it is effectively lost to the algorithm at this point. Whoever you were, thank you for pointing it out. There is more to Mipha's theme than just the mi-fa motion. But if we take a look at a transcription here, you'll notice mi-fa makes up most of it. While I was working on this script, 8-Bit Music Theory released a video doing a deep analysis of the harmonies in this theme. He looks at how some very interesting and unusual chords help augment the emotions Link is feeling as he remembers the cute fish girl that simped for him. 8-Bit's video is linked in the description, and I encourage you to go check that out if you're interested in a deep theoretical dive into the harmonies. This sort of standard version of Mipha's theme is presented mainly in piano, a very important instrument in Breath of the Wild. As the theme moves on, we get a few more instruments added, namely flute and celeste playing the melody along with the piano, and some strings in the background. Mipha's theme is based on that mi-fa motive and essentially has 4 parts to it. There's this very brief introduction, an initial melody, which I will refer to as the A section, a middle melody that contrasts the first, which I'll call the B section, and then a return of the initial A section. I'll use these labels when discussing uses of the theme throughout Breath of the Wild and Age of Calamity. Throughout Breath of the Wild, Mipha's theme is mostly used in cutscenes. The first time you will probably hear it is during the memory Link has of Mipha after reaching Zora's domain. This is the one where they're sitting on Vah Ruta, she heals him, and they talk for a little bit. Well, she talks. Here the theme is presented in full in the standard manner.
I was thinking, this reminds me of the time we first met. You were just a reckless child. Always getting yourself hurt at every turn. every time I would heal you, just as I'm doing right now. I thought it was funny how...
We also get a little snippet of Mipha's theme in the memory right before Calamity Ganon returns. This is the one you find by the big gate below Mount Lanayru. When Mipha talks in this memory, we hear the A section of her theme with a simplified rhythm.
If I may, I thought you... Well, I'm not sure how to put this into words. I'm actually quite embarrassed to say it. But I was thinking about what I do when I'm healing. You know, what usually goes through my mind. It helps when I think about...
I'm not sure what instrument that is. It's maybe a hammered dulcimer or some kind of guitar-like thing. If you know, please let me know. What's fun about the theme appearing here is you might find this memory before you even go to Zora's Domain, in which case it serves as a sort of foreshadowing to the whole theme rather than a leitmotivic callback to Mipha, which is really kind of cool. The whole theme in its original piano form also appears after you defeat Water Blight Ganon. This is when we see Mipha in her spirit form. Initially, you just get the A section, but after you receive Mipha's grace, the theme picks up where it left off with the B section and continues to the end.
Hello, Link. Because of your courage, my spirit is now free, and Ruta as well. Thank you. For I am now allowed by this freedom to be with you once again. Please accept Mipha's grace. Yesterday, I was awash in a pool of tears. I had nearly given up hope and resigned myself to being trapped here as a spirit.
The final cutscene that uses Mipha's theme, disregarding DLC for the sake of time, is in the scene when Vah Ruta gets into position to smite Ganon. Fun fact, the music during Vah Ruta's walk is the same for each divine beast getting into position. However, once the scene zooms in on Mipha and she starts talking, we get the A section of her theme. Here it's slowed down and kind of subtle, broken up in some interesting ways, and the accompaniment is very different. But we still get the theme presented in piano.
Using your ability to drain Ganon of his power is key to our success. This is it. This will be our last chance, and everyone's last hope. If we seal him away, then we can restore peace to Hyrule. And both your duty and mine will be fulfilled. Father, are you well, I wonder? I want you to know I have always followed my heart. I'm sorry I made you worry. I wish I could see you again. Even just once more.
As far as actual gameplay uses of the theme, I only noticed one. One might expect to find Mipha's theme somewhere in the Vah Ruta dungeon or the Water Blight Ganon boss fight. If it's in either of those places, I certainly didn't notice it. The dungeon music is truly crazy, and an analysis of that could be its own video. The Water Blight Ganon boss fight music is actually the same as the other Blight Ganon battles. The only difference is how it's orchestrated. For instance, the Wind Blight Ganon fight uses the accordion. The accordion is associated with Revali at the beginning of his theme, and with the Rito in general. For instance, Cass is never without his trusty accordion, and we get a little bit of the accordion in the second part of the Rito Village music. For Water Blight Ganon, the theme is presented in oboe. Although used less frequently as a Zora instrument than the accordion is as a Rito instrument, we do find Mipha's theme in oboe in the one gameplay instance I found. That is during the attack on Vah Ruta music. It's not the whole theme, but we do get the mi-fa motion in the oboe throughout this track.
Let's go!
Mipha's theme does not appear anywhere else in gameplay, which, to be fair, is mostly true of the other champions as well. As such, this leaves some great room for reimagining her theme as gameplay music for Age of Calamity. In Breath of the Wild, we are told Mipha is a warrior, and know she wielded a pretty impressive trident. However, we really only see her as a shy healer pining after Link. The subtle, sparse orchestration and choice of chords, see 8-Bit's video for a whole analysis of that, all contributes to this characterization. Don't get me wrong, I think Nintendo did a great job of presenting her as strong in her own way, just not like traditional warrior strong. In Age of Calamity, however, we do get to see Mipha as a highly competent fighter, with some impressive movesets. Actually, she's one of my favorite characters to play as. The most prominent usage of Mipha's theme in Age of Calamity is in the Zora champion level. As is characteristic of most levels in Age of Calamity, there's a decent length introduction before we get into the main music. See, for instance, the introduction to the Battle of Hyrule Field level in my previous video. Although Mipha's theme in Breath of the Wild has its own brief introduction, in the Zora champion level, we don't get that intro. Instead, we get a play on the ending of the A section of her theme, leading into what should be the Mi-Fa motion. That Mi-Fa, though, it's actually BC, or Ti-Do, which coincidentally is Sidon's theme. This could easily be a coincidence since transposing a melody like that is a very normal compositional technique. However, it is a little odd in this case since Mipha's theme needs to stay on the notes E and F in order to spell her name. Also, since the main goal of the level is to find the very young Prince Sidon, this could be thought of as a very brief reference to him without too much of a stretch. Then again, if you don't have perfect pitch or a keyboard handy, you probably wouldn't notice the difference at all. What do you think? Is this just a standard transposition of Mipha's theme here, or is it meant to reference the young prince? After this introduction, that may or may not reference Sidon, we have a short interlude of repetitive upwards movements in the strings with a regular snare drum pattern in the background, interspersed with little piano flourishes. All of these elements add a heroic determination to the cue. Over top of this steady foundation, Mipha's theme enters in the oboe and piano, referencing both the oboe associations with Mipha from the Waterblight Ganon fight and attack on Vah Ruta, as well as the general piano association of Breath of the Wild. In this level, the A section appears in exactly the same rhythm and key as Breath of the Wild. Upon examining a couple different transcriptions of the piece, linked in the description, and comparing the chords to 8-Bit Music Theory's analysis of Mipha's theme in Breath of the Wild, I found the theme here also uses the same chord progression. This is really interesting, since 8-Bit describes the harmonies portraying Link's feelings buried beneath the surface, and also capturing the bittersweetness of fondly remembering someone you lost. The idea of feelings buried beneath the surface, at least, fits with Mipha's feelings for Link. However, the rest, not so much. When I listen to the A section of Mipha's theme in Age of Calamity, I don't get so much of that bittersweet vibe, even though the chords and melody are the same. I think this is a real testament to how the orchestration and accompaniment can truly change how one perceives a piece of music. The solo piano and sparse use of other instruments in Breath of the Wild adds a more intimate kind of feeling that brings out the harmonies more. Whereas in Age of Calamity, the use of percussion and rhythmic strings give a more heroic feeling to the same music. Let's go ahead and listen to the A sections side by side so you can listen for the consistent melody and harmony, but also how they portray very different feelings.
Every time, I would heal you, just as I'm doing right now. I thought it was funny how Being a Hylian, you looked grown up so much faster than I did. I was always willing to heal your wounds, even back then.
After this A section, we get another little interlude similar to the first, except the strings start moving down instead of up partway through. Additionally, we have extra notes in the brass interspersed with the other elements. Brass instruments, which are frequently associated with the heroic, add to that element of the cue. A downwards harp glissando takes us into the theme's B section. The cue loses the constant motion and is presented in a more legato manner in the violins than the A section, which highlights the sweeter, gentler side of Mipha. This section seems a reminder that while Mipha is a fine warrior, she is also a healer with a more shy and introverted personality. This is the closest we get to the same sort of feel of Mipha's theme in Breath of the Wild. What I really love about this moment is that during gameplay, the ferocity of the battle stays the same, showing that one can be a great fighter and still be shy. The two things are not mutually exclusive. This gentler attitude is quickly replaced by a return of the heroic with the return of the A section, now in trumpets. The string motion is still absent, however, a downwards chromatic punch in the low brass highlights both the downwards chromatic motion in the original A section harmony, but also adds a sort of fierce determination. As Mipha says herself in the game, "I wish to keep everyone safe." And with this playing in the background as she fights, I certainly believe she will be able to do that. For the most part, the music loops in this manner throughout the level, without the introduction returning, just as in Battle for Hyrule Field. The two exceptions to this are the final Lynel battle, and when you stop a strong enemy with a Sheikah Slate rune. The Lynel battle has original music, much like the Moblin battle at the end of Battle for Hyrule Field. The shift in music when attacking a strong enemy is the same in every level. In my previous video, I said this happens when you hit an enemy's weak point gauge in an outpost. However, this is actually only partially true. Upon further examination, I found that if you hit an enemy with a flurry rush, no matter where you are, the music will continue uninhibited. When the music does change is when you hit them with a Sheikah rune, and then hit that weak point gauge, regardless of the location of the enemy. Here is an example of that happening in the Zora champion level. And that is how Mipha's theme is utilized in the Zora champion level. There is also a piece of her theme when controlling Divine Beast Vah Ruta, but I will save that for the next video because it also incorporates Sidon's theme, and I want to be able to talk about how those two work together. I would like to point out we do get the introduction and the A section of Mipha's theme in the cutscene at the end of this level in the Breath of the Wild version, when Mipha is talking to Sidon. Here, it really highlights her sweet side in her interaction with her little brother.
Why would you try to fight that beast alone? I was so worried about you. But still, I am proud. What a brave little brother I have.
Interestingly, in the cutscene at the beginning of the level, when Mipha is talking to Link, we do not get her theme, although the music that is here is a gentle melody and solo piano, which gives a similar feel to her theme in Breath of the Wild.
Well, Link, you've grown since I last saw you. And yet, you have not changed.
And that is how Mipha's theme is utilized in Age of Calamity. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe for future videos. I'm planning on creating these Age of Calamity videos every other month, or every month if I run out of other ideas. Speaking of other ideas, I organized some of my previous videos into additional playlists on my channel. So far, I've just done videos on things I'm interested in, but I recognize not everyone will be interested in all of the things I am, so I broke out a few themed playlists, including one for these Age of Calamity videos. I also have a separate anime music playlist and a separate How to Train Your Dragon music playlist. And I still have the master playlist that will have all of these videos that I create. Also in the playlist section, you will see my playthrough of Twilight Princess with my friend Edie. I admit the sound quality of these videos isn't great until episode 47 when we got a better mic. We were figuring things out and just having fun, but I like to think we're funny. And if you like Zelda, you might enjoy watching us, mostly me, struggle through that game. Anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. I do really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in the next one.